Welcome to the CYF course, to another topic. And this topic is about toxic stress and adverse childhood experiences, or in short, ACEs. Now you might wonder, what is that? And that's what I'm here for. I'd like to explain that to you, and I'd like you to help you understand better what is happening with children who are vulnerable, children who are at risk, children who are orphaned. Often the experiences these children are making are very stressful. They are so stressful that they cannot handle it anymore. Then we call it toxic stress. Toxic, poisonous, something that you cannot handle anymore. Something that really influences you, influences your brain, influences your body because of what it is. But basically, there are three types of stress. There is positive stress. Positive stress is a good thing. It helps in development. Positive stress is there when we are excited because something is going to happen for the first time. A child who is going to school for the first time is probably stressed, but also very excited. And so it's a good thing, and it's something that helps us to learn and to grow and to develop. Or riding a bicycle for the first time. A child who got a bicycle for Christmas and can ride his bicycle for the first time. Will it work? Will it be good? It's a bit of a stress, but it's positive. Then we have tolerable stress. We all experience stress. Children experience stress. And tolerable stress might be when something bad is happening. When maybe, let's say, a child's pet animal is dying. It's really sad. But mommy is there. Mommy is there to console. Mommy is there to be with the child. Mommy understands the child, helps the child. It can be even worse, the death of a loved person or an accident. But if a loving adult is there to help the child to deal with the stress that the child is experiencing right now, it's tolerable stress. The child is able to overcome, the child will learn to handle it and will get on with life. But toxic stress, stress that really poisons, that is influencing the whole being of the child, is when it happens when a child experiences really bad, hurtful things over a long period of time, over and over. A child who experiences abuse, be it physical or sexual abuse, over and over. A child who is left alone over and over, who has no support in all that by a caring adult. Such stress is toxic. The child has no way to handle it. And so it's called toxic stress. And we will meet children who have experienced a lot of this kind of toxic stress. One thing that also makes stress for children much more toxic and intolerable is their lack of experience. For us as grown-ups, we have a ton of experience behind us, and we have experienced bad things, and somehow we learned or had help learning to overcome those stressful events, those stressful things in our life. And if something else happens, we have some place to look back to. We have our old experiences that help us to know, I was able to overcome then, I will be able to do that now. Children don't have that kind of past experiences that help them to know, I was able at that time, I will be able again. Everything for children is so immediate and so new, and so they have no way to deal with it, to handle it. And so toxic stress for children is really very much influencing their whole being. So where does toxic stress come from? Toxic stress comes from these different ACEs that we said. And there are 3 types of ACEs, and we will look at it a bit more. There is abuse, there is neglect, or household dysfunction. And you can actually do an ACE self-test with the website that you see here and see if you have ACEs, if you have adverse childhood experiences. Many of us will have, for example, the death of a parent is an ACE, or there are ACEs, and you can look how many are in your life and how much that influences you. So what are these 3 different types of ACEs? Abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. Abuse can be, of course, physical. As we know, when children are beaten badly, any kind of thing that is done against the child that hurts the child physical. Abuse can be emotional by neglecting the child's needs, by using bad words towards the child that belittle the child, that label the child, or it can be sexual abuse, all kinds of sexual abuse. Neglect, again, can be physical, either by not giving the child what the child needs in food, in medical care, in shelter, in giving the child the right clothing appropriate for the season, warm winter clothes. That is neglect, physical neglect, and it can be emotional neglect. Emotional neglect where parents are not giving a child the love and care emotionally that the child needs. Emotional neglect can happen if a mother herself has mental issues, if a mother suffers from depression or other mental issues and is not able to give a child the emotional support the child needs, or if parents themselves have had many ACEs in their life and now are unable to emotionally support their own children, they will emotionally neglect their children. Then what are household dysfunctions? Again, like I said, mental illness could be a household dysfunction. Mental illness that makes the family not to function properly, maybe because of depression of a parent or any other mental illness. Then if a parent has to go to prison, is not around anymore, and the other parent has to deal with the issue that her or his partner is in prison and the children are still there. If a mother is treated violently, it very, very much influences the children too. So domestic violence, even if it's against the mother, will influence the children very much as well. Then substance abuse, any kind of abuse of alcohol, all kinds of different drugs will, of course, make the household to be very dysfunctional and very, very much affect the children, be it through violence following alcohol abuse or neglect because of the parents abusing substances. Anyway, it can be one of the reasons for an adverse childhood experience. And of course, divorce. Divorce is a household dysfunction, even though often we try to kind of discuss it away and say, no, everything is fine and we look after the children. But so often children really suffer because of parental divorce, because both parents are not as available to the children anymore as they have been. And often children take the blame on themselves and believe that, oh, my father left because I was a bad child, or my mother left because I was a bad child. And so that really, really impacts children greatly. How are ACEs continuing to influence children throughout their lives? It is very important that we step in early when children have experienced these adverse childhood experiences, when they have experienced this toxic stress coming from the ACEs. If they have experienced ACEs, their neurodevelopment will be disrupted. They will be socially and emotionally and cognitively impaired, which means socially they will not be as able as others to make contacts with other people, because it's not something they have really learned at home. Emotionally, a child who has experienced so much stress is emotionally not really able to act in a good way and handle his emotions, and often it also influences a child's performance in school. And of course, all of that then leads to even risk behavior, health risk behavior, where a child who is like that will, him or herself, get into drugs, behave in a unhealthy way, risk his sexual behavior, all that kind of things, which then again leads to a lot of social problems, could lead again to divorce and all, and might even lead to early death because of all the problems, the health problems, the social problems. So it is our job to really act early, to really help children with adverse childhood experiences before it goes much further and before they become adults who have very unhealthy habits, unhealthy behavior, and might even pass on what they have experienced to the next generation. And so, again, we have questions for you to ponder, to think about. Like I said, you can go back to that website, find out if you have experienced or what kind of ACEs you might have experienced. And also, if you have seen that in the children you work with, how can you help them? How can you understand these children and help them?